Ty Slatter. Welcome to another edition of GTA Heat Checks ISO Mode. Make sure you check out GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, GTA Heat Check as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, GTA Sports. And don't forget GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. And I want to thank each and every one of you who've been patiently waiting this week. It's been long overdue, but this video is about the Chicago Bulls. I wanted to wait until the news was official. The Chicago Bulls re-signed Zach LaVine. I believe it was a 5-year, full max deal. So, of course, I wanted to wait until the deal was at least confirmed before we went and made this video. Zach LaVine is coming back to the Chicago Bulls as expected because they were the only team that could offer him that much money. 5 years, $215 million. What does this mean? Well, Derrick Jones Jr. is making it way back as well. He was another free agent on the list. Of course, he's coming back and doing a deal. And they also picked up Andre Drummond as well out of Brooklyn, who was a free agent with the Nets after last season. Now, you get back these three guys. This is what the roster looks like for next season. Healthy. You got DeMar DeRozan off the signing trade from last season. Nikola Vucevic, who was acquired via trade at the trade deadline. Lonzo Ball coming back from his torn meniscus rehab. He's out in LA doing his thing. Shout out to BallFacts for keeping us updated. And we'll be having that video up as well, coming from that interview. If you haven't already, check out the part 1 where we talked about the Charlotte Hornets and the situation with Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball's future as a Hornet. Alex Caruso will be back. You know, he got injured last year. He'll be back fully ready to go. Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Tony Bradley, Javonte Green, Ayo. I mean, this team is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, last year was not a fluke. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Last year was not a fluke. Don't let anybody tell you different. If anybody says anything different, they are simply not Chicago Bulls supporters, and they do not know basketball. The Chicago Bulls were in the top of the East. Top 3 in the East. All the way up until right about All-Star break, and that's when all the injuries happened. Of course, Grayson Allen took out Alex Caruso, and then Lonzo Ball tore his meniscus, and he ended up missing the rest of the season, which left DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, who was a little banged up throughout the year, to carry the rest of the load. Unfortunately, they weren't enough to go up against the defending champions at the time, the Milwaukee Bucks, who also lost Chris Middleton in the first round, but had enough firepower with Giannis, Drew Holiday, and the crew to take Chicago out. First round knockout. I'm not the biggest Zach LaVine fan. I'm not going to, act like I am. However, he did gain a lot of my respect. He gained a lot of my respect last year. Playing with Lonzo Ball, improving his defense, becoming more accurate with his shot, more consistent. He just looked way more fluid with his offense, and even showed little, flashes of brilliance on the defensive end of the basketball as well. So, does this deal put Chicago Bulls where they need to be in regards to the Eastern Conference? Absolutely. I do not see the Chicago Bulls finding a replacement player like a Zach LaVine in this offseason. Just being realistic. The reality of it is, Zach LaVine fits this team. The system was built around him before Lonzo even got there. Lonzo is a supplementary piece to what Zach LaVine was already contributing and producing on his own. DeMar DeRozan and him may have to come to terms with who gets the clutch moments throughout the regular season. But I'm going to be honest with you, DeMar DeRozan is the better regular season player as a veteran. Zach LaVine has to show up in the postseason because we all know DeMar DeRozan's history in the postseason is not the greatest. All right? So, obviously, Zach LaVine was sorely missed in the first round because he didn't really show up very well in the first round, dealing with injuries and what have you. This upcoming season is going to be a show-and-prove season for him. Nikola Vucevic basically took a year off, in my opinion, because you got traded at, trade deadline from Orlando to Chicago. You only showed up in a handful of games as the player that they signed you to be. This is supposed to be your year. This is the year where you show them why you were worth the money they're paying you. So I look forward to seeing him averaging 20 and 12, as he should. He only dropped off a little bit. He averaged like 18 and 10 last season. Again, He's used to being the focal point of the offense, the number one option. This is the first team he's ever been on in his career that he's not the number one option. He's arguably the fourth best player on the team. So he took a break, kicked his feet up a little bit, let Lonzo, Zach, Caruso, DeMar, Ayo, Kobe, let everybody else pretty much do their thing, and then every now and then he show you flashes of why they signed him. But he only dropped off a little bit. He went from 20-12 in Orlando to 18-10 in Chicago. I expect him to step it up this year. If Chicago wants to get out of the first round, I need all hands on deck. I need 20-12 from Vucevic. Lonzo, you can average a triple-double if you want, but it could be like a 12-10-10 or a 12-10-12. I need to see more playmaking from Lonzo, more dominance. Keep shooting the three. When they give it to you, because we already know people don't respect your shot like they should, make them pay every time. Alex Caruso is the anchor on defense. That is his role. He is the Draymond Green, the Patrick Beverly of this team. No argument there. And Lonzo's defense definitely helps with that. They both work like this as a tandem. And that's the LA connection, obviously, from the Lakers. DeMar, we know what DeMar can do. The midi is clean. The mid-range game is clean. It's criminally underrated in this era of basketball. We know everybody wants to be Curry. Everybody wants to be Dame. Let Zach LaVine be the Damian Lillard of Chicago. That's what I look at him as. He's not as accurate as Dame, but when he wants to be, he can be clutch like a Dame. He has similarities, and it looks promising with everybody involved. Everybody has to be healthy. Everybody has to show up and do their job. That's the only way this is going to work. Where do I see Chicago landing next season? Early bird projection, since they're re-signing everybody, pretty much everybody's coming back next year, fully healthy. Chicago should get to at least the second round. It's really going to be depending on whether Lonzo Ball can stay healthy for a whole season. Vucevic has to show up and give us the Orlando Magic version of Vucevic. Caruso got to stay on point all year. Without him, the defense fell. Like, defensive rating was terrible without him. So it's going to require all hands on deck. Don't expect anything less than the best. They can at least get to the second round, and they can almost surprise people and possibly get to the Eastern Conference Finals with this roster as it stands. Bringing back Derrick Jones Jr., your high flyer slasher. Bringing back, and then adding Andre Drummond. That is a underrated pickup. They got him on the cheap. Looking at it contract-wise, I mean, you're only paying him $3.2 million. You got him on a 2-year deal. If he can stay healthy at center at your 5, I mean, that's a no-brainer, because then what you do is you're taking all the pressure off Vucevic to be the defensive anchor at the 5. You got Andre Drummond involved. He's going to give you that. So whatever Vucevic doesn't give you on defense, because he's not known for defense, he's an offensive threat who can stretch the floor out, shoot the 3, and pretty much do everything Domantas Sabonis is doing in Sacramento and formerly did for the Pacers. Basically the same player, all-star caliber. Andre Drummond's going to do the dirty work. Andre Drummond's going to be the block machine, rebound machine. This is the guy that can give you average double-double. He's a 10-12. He's a 12-15. He can be a 20-20 if he gets the opportunity. Don't put it past him. All inside, under 10 feet in front of the basket, he's good for it when healthy and when given the playing time. In Brooklyn, he didn't really get the playing time. He was basically another DeAndre Jordan with slightly better footwork and better rebounding. Just because he's younger, he's able to get up and down the court a lot easier than DeAndre Jordan at this point in his career. So having Andre Drummond in Chicago, I like it. I like it a lot. It almost gives me Thaddeus Young and those type of vibes, like a Thaddeus Young when he was in Chicago, or even another big you compare. I mean, it's kind of like the Mitchell Robinson in New York, who got re-signed. By the way, congrats to Mitchell Robinson getting his deal, 4 years, $60 million. Knicks, that was the best thing you've done thus far, right next to Jalen Brunson. So bringing back the continuity of Mitchell Robinson at your 5 and then have Jalen Brunson at your 1. I'm gonna do a Knicks video. We'll get to that. Y'all did good. Y'all made up for that draft. If the draft was terrible, but what you've done in the offseason, Leon Rose, respectable. Back to Chicago. I'm not a big fan of Billy Donovan as the head coach still. He's yet to really show me in the NBA that he's capable of carrying a team past the first round because he couldn't do it in OKC with Russell. And this year wasn't really his fault, though. I believe they already gave him an extension a season ago. So he's going to be there the next couple of years. If they don't make it out the first round in the next 2 seasons, then I gotta look at the coaching at that point. You got all this talent. You don't have a superstar, I mean, outside of Zach LaVine. And DeMar's an all-star. But, you know, at the end of the day, if he can't get you out the first round, I would start looking around shopping for a new coach. Nothing personal, just there are coaches who develop teams and get you in position for the playoffs, get you to the playoffs, but then they can only take, that's their ceiling, that's their limit. Sometimes you have to take another coach and step another coach in that position that can get you over the hump. Because sometimes it's not personnel. Sometimes it's not the roster. Sometimes it's the leader. How impactful is Billy Donovan's voice in that locker room? When he gives out plays, schemes, even motivational speeches, if he does, in the film room, how impactful is his voice in the film room? With this roster, in the Eastern Conference, as tough as the Eastern Conference has become, this team should still get to the second round at the minimum. Minimum. I got Chicago in my top 5 this year in the East. Easily. Based on what they did last year, before Andre Drummond signed and Zach LaVine was on a contract year, prior to injuries, Chicago was number 1 in the East for a nice run. They kept bouncing back and forth between them and Miami, and then the injuries came and they fell down to the 5th and 6th. But still, they made the playoffs with a banged-up roster and no Lonzo Ball. So if you can do that with next to nothing, you're bringing everybody back, and then you add Andre Drummond to the mix, second round minimum is my, bar. You got to get to the second round this season. Will you win the championship with this roster? No. Let's be honest. No. As much as I'm excited for this roster, I'm definitely going to catch me some games up in Chicago. I got to catch a couple games just to see Lonzo do his thing. But, no. I don't see them winning a championship this year. No. The East is too tough. You got too much competition. You know, teams have gotten better. The Knicks are going to make a splash. Atlanta Hawks picked up DeJounte Murray out of San Antonio. Make a video about Atlanta soon. That's definitely on the lineup. Charlotte is still, even though they're still trying to figure themselves out from the front office on down, with the Miles Bridges incident that's transpiring and trending all over Twitter right now. Charlotte just needs some work. The good news about Charlotte, though, a little nugget for you guys. LiAngelo Ball did make the Summer League team for the 2nd year in a row. It's a great sign that they are bringing him back. They're trying to make sure they keep Melo in their good graces. They brought back his big bro. So I will be tuned in to Summer League. Summer League is from July 7th to July 17th out in Vegas. Make sure you tune July 7th to the 17th. Check out Summer League. These teams that have been building in the draft and making these offseason moves, they Summer League teams. You got to be on the lookout. The future of the league is in Summer League. We got to look at all of the teams, from the Lakers all the way down. These Summer League teams are going to be crazy. They're going to ball out. They're looking for position. They're trying to get on the starting rosters for these teams. So be on the lookout for Summer League. It's going to be beautiful. But overall, I love what Chicago has done in the post-D Rose era. I believe that they have a continuity, a core, an identity, a hard-nosed, grinded out type of team. It's nothing too flashy. They're not afraid of the mid-range. Defense is key. They've shown it throughout last season that this team that just recently got assembled is capable of making some noise in the East. I see Chicago making a splash in the playoffs and being a legitimate threat, but not for the championship. Just a threat to knock off some teams that you would least expect. One could make the argument that and this is an if, of course, so you know what I feel about ifs. If Lonzo Ball had made it back from the torn meniscus in time through rehab and didn't have the setbacks in rehab, one could argue that Chicago had enough firepower to give the Milwaukee Bucks a run for their money in that first round. But with no Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso was coming back off a bad injury he got. And then you had, the Bucks had the experience. You got Giannis. Wasn't really nobody that could stop Giannis at that position. Nobody big enough to really bang with him. It was just a mismatch, unfortunately. But I do believe that this team, if they seed right when it comes to playoff position and don't have to face the Bucks again, and they can face a team like, I don't know, let's say they're a top 3 seed, or really if they find a way to manage to finish top 2, they can get a bye week that first week. They can get a first week break advantage. They don't have to play that first week, or they play an 8 seed. That'd be ideal. They get the break and then they get to play an 8 seed. That'd be great. 8 seed like Charlotte, and you get the Ball brothers matching up. That'd be an ideal situation. Chicago play Charlotte in the first round. Chicago could beat Charlotte with this roster. Oh yeah, Chicago definitely could beat Charlotte. Absolutely. No disrespect to Melo and his brother matching up. He probably is more talented than his brother. But as a team, Chicago's a better team than Charlotte. No debate, no challenge, no question. Chicago could beat Charlotte if they were to match up in the playoffs. If my Pistons make it to the playoffs, or the Pacers even find a way to the playoffs, these are teams that Chicago can beat. So if they seed properly and stay healthy the whole season and land in them first 2 spots with home court advantage, and you play a lower seeded team like Cleveland, Charlotte, Pacers, Pistons, Atlanta, even they could give Atlanta a run for their money. Honestly, even with DeJounte Murray, they could still give them a run for their money. It's all about playoff position, player durability and availability, and coaching. There's no excuse. Chicago deserves to be back in the playoff picture and make a splash. Not just make an appearance, make a splash. I'm setting the bar right now. Early bird projection. The Chicago Bulls better make it to the second round, or Billy Donovan is going to get replaced. Mediocrity will not be tolerated. The Chicago Bulls are the Chicago Bulls when they're winning. And they gave the city of Chicago hope just last season. So I need to see more of that. Now, there are a lot more free agency moves that have been going down in the last 48 hours. I'm going to make a video for all of those. Just stay tuned on that. Make sure you follow GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, GTA Heat Check, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, GTA Sports. And don't forget GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. This is Slatter with GTA ISO Mode. And until next time.